All right, let's dive into a topic that's changing everything around us, biotechnology. We're talking about a field of science that isn't just stuck in a lab somewhere. Nope. It's in our food, it's in our medicine, and it's literally reshaping the building blocks of life itself. So let me ask you a question. What if our most important crops could protect themselves from pests all on their own, without us having to spray a single drop of chemicals?
And what if we could take tiny microscopic factories, like bacteria, and turn them into little engines that produce the complex human medicine that millions of people need just to survive?
Well, the thing is, this isn't some dream about the distant future. It's happening right here, right now. This is the incredible world of biotechnology.
First up, let's talk about one of the oldest challenges humanity has ever faced: getting enough food. I mean, how are we supposed to feed a planet with billions of people?
So, back in the 20th century, we had this thing called the Green Revolution. It was a huge deal. We managed to triple the world's food supply. But there's a catch, a big one. It leans super heavily on chemicals, which are not only expensive, but can be pretty tough on the environment. We've kind of hit a wall. Our population just keeps on growing, and the old methods just can't keep up. And pests, oh man, they're a massive part of the problem. Just one type of insect, like this little guy, the bollworm, can completely wipe out an entire crop. What you're seeing here is a cotton harvest totally destroyed. That's a farmer's income gone, and a huge hiccup in the supply chain. So what's the plan B? Well, this is where genetic engineering gets really interesting. Instead of constantly spraying pesticides on the plant, what if we could give the plant the built-in ability to protect itself from the inside out?
The key to making this happen is this amazing protein called Bt toxin. It actually comes from a super common bacteria found in soil called Bacillus thuringiensis. Yeah, I know, it's a mouthful. But what's really cool is that organic farmers have been using this bacteria as a natural pesticide for over 100 years. Biotechnology just takes that natural defense and makes it way more efficient.
So how does this actually work? It is incredibly clever. Scientists take the gene that makes this toxin and they insert it right into the cotton plant's DNA. Now, the plant itself makes a harmless, inactive version of the protein. But when a bollworm comes along and takes a bite, the specific alkaline environment inside its gut flips a switch and activates the toxin. This active toxin starts poking holes in the insect's gut wall, causing its cells to swell up and burst. It's lethal for the pest, but completely harmless to the plant and, well, to us.
And here is the result. I mean, the difference is just night and day. On one side, you've got total destruction, and on the other, a perfectly healthy, fully grown Bt cotton boll. It's an incredible visual of how one tiny genetic tool can solve a huge agricultural headache.
Okay, so that's our food supply. Let's switch gears because this very same technology is doing some absolutely revolutionary things in the world of medicine.
Before the 1980s, if you had diabetes, the insulin you needed came from the pancreases of pigs and cows from slaughterhouses. And yeah, it worked, but it wasn't a perfect match for human insulin, and a lot of people had allergic reactions. But now, thanks to what we call recombinant DNA technology, which is basically just a fancy way of saying we can cut and paste DNA, we can make enormous quantities of insulin that's a perfect 100% match to what our own bodies produce.
But getting there was a real challenge for scientists. See, in our bodies, insulin starts out as this long single chain called proinsulin. To actually work, a middle piece, this C-peptide, has to get snipped out. The problem was, scientists just couldn't figure out how to get bacteria to do that final crucial snip.
The big aha moment came in 1983 from some scientists at Eli Lilly. They had this absolutely brilliant idea. They thought, hey, instead of trying to make the whole long chain at once, why don't we get bacteria to make the two final pieces, the A and B chains, separately? And that's what they did. Then they just combined those two chains in the lab to create pure, perfect human insulin. Game changer.
But what about diseases that are literally written into our DNA from the moment we're born? This brings us to one of the most mind-blowing frontiers in all of medicine: gene therapy. The idea is as simple as it is profound. If a disease is caused by a bad gene, why not just go in and fix it, or replace it altogether?
Let's make this real. There's a devastating genetic disease called ADA deficiency. It's caused by one single faulty gene, and it basically leaves children with no immune system. Well, back in 1990, a 4-year-old girl was the first person ever to receive gene therapy for it. Doctors took some of her white blood cells out, used a harmless virus to deliver a working copy of the ADA gene into them and then put those repaired cells back into her body. Now, it wasn't a permanent cure, since those cells don't live forever, but it was an absolutely monumental step forward.
But as we get better and better at rewriting the code of life, we run headfirst into some huge questions and some immense responsibilities. So for our last section, let's get into the ethics of all of this.
We just can't talk about genetically modifying plants and people without also talking about the rules of the road. I mean, altering the blueprint of a living thing is not something you do lightly. It absolutely demands strong ethical guidelines and government oversight.
To really get why, let's look at rice. India is home to this unbelievable diversity of rice. We're talking something like 200,000 different varieties. And one of those is basmati, which is famous for its incredible smell and flavor, something that's been perfected by local farmers over centuries of hard work.
Okay, so then in 1997, a company in the US was granted a patent on a so-called new variety of basmati rice. So what's the big deal? Well, the problem was that this new rice was created by crossbreeding traditional rice that Indian farmers had developed. The company was basically trying to patent something that was built on generations and generations of someone else's knowledge and work.
This sort of thing actually has a name. It's called biopiracy. It's when companies or organizations use the natural resources and traditional knowledge from other countries without getting permission and without paying or compensating the people who developed it in the first place.
Situations just like the basmati case have pushed governments all over the world to step up. India, for instance, created what's called the Genetic Engineering Approval Committee, or GEAC. Their whole job is to be a watchdog, to check out the science behind GM research and to make sure that any new products are safe and that everything is being done fairly.
So this is where it all leads. From cotton that can fight off pests to bacteria brewing life-saving medicine, all the way to the tough ethical fights that come with it, biotechnology is without a doubt one of the most powerful tools we have ever created. The big question for us is no longer can we reshape the code of life. The question is, how do we make sure we use this incredible power wisely, ethically, and in a way that truly benefits everyone? Thanks for watching.